Welcome back into Zollipod. I am your host, Preston Moore. In case you forgot, it's been quite some time. I'm joined by my co-host, Carson Terrell. Carson, we're back, and I'd go so far as to say we're better than ever.
New year, new episode, the same amazing Zollipod crew you remember. We're here. We're here to talk about movies, and we're excited to be back and just... Yeah, it's like Preston said, it's been a while. Thank you to anyone that has still been going back and discovering those episodes. I see you in our Spotify analytics. Thank you to those who have listened. We're finally providing with you some fresh content. Preston, what are your thoughts on being back, and what are we going to talk about today?
I mean, I'm thrilled to be back. We've been, for our listeners who may not know, we've been trying to be back for a while. We've been trying to set up a time to record an episode. Things kept getting in the way, life things, whatever, work, it happens. We're both full-time. We both have full-time jobs. We both have things that we have to do. And this is just kind of our side gig almost. And so it is very nice to finally be back. You mentioned New Year. That was when we planned to come back, was at the New Year. And we didn't quite hit that mark. It is now, as of the date of recording, it is March 27th, 2024. So we are a little bit late, but nevertheless, that doesn't mean we're too late to talk about 2023. We're going to talk about our favorite films of 2023, what we've been watching in the meantime. It's been, like I mentioned, it's been a while. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about what we're excited for in 2024. Briefly at the end, I think we may run out of time there, to be honest. And that may need to be, and maybe that's our next episode, which will be sooner rather than later. We're not taking as long of a break anymore. We're back.
We're holding ourselves accountable, and
I've said it on the air now. We have to be back.
Yes, and we can't just cut it out. The world will hear this, and we will have to release an episode in 2 weeks. It's a fact.
We can't cut it out because number one, we're going to hold ourselves accountable, and number two, I don't want to cut it out. I am lazy when it comes to audio editing because it sucks. But we're here.
And so, in the words of our good friend Josh, we are so back.
We are so back. We're so back. So let's get into it. In the meantime, our last episode was a long time ago. I'm going to pull up my phone to actually find out. But in the meantime,
it was the Halloween episode, wasn't it?
I believe so. That sounds right. Because I actually was looking at our page earlier today for something for work. And our last episode was the Halloween episode. It was released on Halloween. So we've had some time and some things come out since then. Carson, what have you been watching in the last 5 months?
Let me just think about that there. That's quite a bit of time, but I'm going to go all the way back to last November, right? I'm trying to think of movies that came around Thanksgiving time.
I am currently pulling up my Letterboxd diary.
Too.
I watched the murder mystery movies on Netflix. Those were...
I'm sorry.
Those were movies that I watched. I don't know. Were they? They were. I watched them. Obviously, the holiday season came out. I rewatched Shrek. I watched a lot of the holiday movies that came out, which we'll, again, touch on later. Wonka, the new Hunger Games movie.
Just going to say that one, yeah.
I rewatched The Lord of the Rings. I watched La La Land for the first time. That was a very big moment for me and for a few of our friends who had been, yourself included. A lot of people have been trying to get me to watch La La Land for a while. And yeah, I mean, I've been watching a lot of different things. I didn't watch Argylle, but I left a 5-star review on Letterboxd.
I did watch Argylle. I'm jealous of you.
Argylle, my Letterboxd review for Argylle is my most liked review on Letterboxd, and I didn't watch it. The review says, and I used the Dua Lipa poster. The review says, I haven't seen Argylle. This review is for Dua Lipa. And the only other Argylle review on Letterboxd that I liked is yours, which reads, "This being my first 2024 film must be a bad omen. 1.5 stars. My review is 5 stars because it was for Dua Lipa. But
5 stars, yeah.
I think that about sums it up for me. What have you been watching?
Gosh, Argyle. I've like just blanked that movie out of my mind at this point because I collectively just needed to, us as a society, to one, forget that we ever saw the trailer to that movie because we were all brainwashed with the trailer for like 8 months. And then the fact that that movie actually came out and it was a real thing and I like witnessed it might have been even more traumatizing.
I will say I was scrolling through my letterbox the other day. Sometimes I'll just go back and look through my diary just to like see what I've been watching, like literally what we just did. And I saw Argyle and I was like, I didn't watch that movie. And then I clicked on the review and I was like, oh yeah, this was a funny bit. Anyways, I tricked myself. I thought I had watched Argyle, loved it, 5 stars, and then forgotten about it. So I wasn't sure what had happened. But yeah, I mean, that was your first film of 2024.
It was. And I'm trying to think of other movies that I'm pulling up my list here. Before 2023 ended, I caught up on, let's see. I watched Drive My Car for the first time, which was from 2021. I think it won the
I haven't seen that.
Best Screenplay or Best International Feature. I can't remember. Very good movie. New Hunger Games, surprisingly good. I thought the new cast was really great. I thought
spectacular, I would say. I love that movie. And it's not in my top 10, which we'll get to. But I love that they went back to theaters instead of making some streaming service TV show the way a lot of other popular franchises are doing. And man, that cast, they gelled perfectly. I felt like the structure wasn't perfect, story structure, but like Tom Blythe and Rachel Zegler, I think that every exec in Hollywood should be trying to pair them up for some new movie. Their chemistry was spectacular.
And I feel like Rachel Zegler's had a bit of an unfair rap with kind of her debut being with the whole Ansel Elgort scandal and then Shazam just being a horrible movie. So I've heard. I haven't actually seen the Shazam sequel.
I fell asleep before I think she even appeared in the movie.
There we go.
So that's my experience with Shazam.
There's your review, folks.
Too. This is the quality content you come to Zollypod for.
Then I feel like this whole Snow White thing has been like in fake controversy for no reason, and I just feel horrible that like she has no control over that. And so I think Hunger Games, solid win for everybody, but especially for her. All the songs she does in it are phenomenal. My girlfriend and I listen to those songs all the time. So good stuff.
Yeah, I listen to those too. Those are both. At least the boot stomping version of Nothing You Can Take From Me. I think that's it. And then the Olivia Rodrigo credits song. Both of those songs are in my current playlist and have been for the last like 3 months. I love those songs.
Really good stuff. And then what else did I see? I saw Godzilla -1, which I think surprised everybody. My favorite Godzilla movie that I've seen. Godzilla Times Kong, we were just talking off air, is a movie that's coming out.
We have Godzilla -1, Godzilla Times Kong. Now, stay tuned for Godzilla Divided by Mothra.
No. Godzilla PEMDAS coming to theaters near you.
Godzilla PEMDAS. That's the title.
Okay, that would be hard though.
I would be there. I'd be there. And I don't think I'm going to be there for Godzilla Times Kong, so it would be
there
good.
You go. That's the hook right there. I saw the new Studio Ghibli movie, of course, The Boy and the Heron. I don't want to spoil my list ranking on that, but definitely one of my favorite movies from last year. Just incredible that a guy who's like, I'm going to retire, and then spends like 10 years making like this crazy animated self-reflective thing that's like sort of about his childhood, but also like this fantastical. He's the only person that could have made this movie, and it's all the better for it. And if you haven't seen it yet, I think it's back in theaters again, and then I think it's going to come out on Blu-ray and all that soon. So
I did not know that was back in theaters.
Yeah, they did
that's
like a
one of the ones I
special-
missed.
They did like a special re-release this past weekend or 2 weekends ago. But yeah. Other than that, my last movie of the year was The Family Plan, starring Mark Wahlberg. The Apple TV original movie it was everything that Vin Diesel's The Pacifier was, but like the opposite, just like didn't work at all. And maybe it's a nostalgia I have for that insane era of like throwing on the weirdest like 2000s rom-com / family weird road trip movie. This was just not it. So anyways, and I was forced to watch that with my family, and if they're listening, they're going to be like, that was a great movie. We had so much fun as a family watching that. But it's just not good. What and then Mark Wahlberg.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, no, this is my sorry mom moment. And also, what is Mark Wahlberg doing with his, like, now he's in some dog movie. What is that? Arthur the King or something that's out in theaters right now?
Oh yeah. No, I don't know.
Yeah, and
but I know about
the
that.
Shang-Chi guy is in the trailer, and I was just like, all right, what are we doing? Like,
yeah,
they're like running a race, and then the dog is like has to like finish the race with them, as far as I can tell.
Nice, cool, good. Maybe that's our next episode. Who knows?
Anyways, to like move things along from this weird tangent. What are some movies that you missed last year that you have caught up on in 2024? So like movies that you like wanted to see and then you caught up on a few these past couple months.
A lot of them. Well, maybe not a lot actually, but a couple main ones that I really wanted to hit from 2023. I wanted to hit more than I did.
Same.
You and I did a shared note that we were like, these are the movies that we're both going to watch before we record a new episode. I haven't checked that note, but I will be upfront with you right now and say I didn't watch those movies.
Again, this is us holding each other accountable. Let's just note that for the audience here.
Yeah, we'll revisit that shared note.
Will I watch Poor Things? The note says I have to, so I will be watching Poor Things.
The note says, yeah, Poor Things was one of them. One of and my favorite of my 2023 releases that I've caught up on since. Killers of the Flower Moon and The Holdovers were my other two that I did get around to. I didn't see as many movies as I wanted to this year. I saw 26 total 2024 movies, which is significantly less than in the last few years. But at the same time, I also can say, I'm looking at my list, which we'll get into again, but I can say pretty confidently that it's top heavy. I front loaded my list. Like, there are a lot more good movies on my list than bad movies. I knew I had less time this year to see movies than I ever had in previous years. I knew that I was going to be more busy. So I did not waste my time going to the theater to see the Argyles of the world, whatever they were in 2023, except I did go to see Quantumania, and that was the beginning of the year. And I think that might be why I've only seen 26 2023 movies, is because I started off with Quantumania. That was my bad omen in 2023.
There you go.
It was Quantumania. So, but yeah, what about yourself? What have you caught up on?
So The Holdovers, which was fantastic. I've gone down the whole rabbit hole of like, so they didn't shoot it on film, but they like created a bunch of stuff to in post basically give it that filmic texture and like all this. So I've gone down the whole rap because it's just so cool. Like, it's so 70s, and it's and that's all done in post, and in particular certain things like that they would do on set, like with the production design and like how it was shot to like mimic camera operators from back in the day. It was super really cool technically, and also
you can tell.
It's gorgeous, and of course the new actor, remind me of his name. Is it Dominic Sessa? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's right.
So cool that he was going to that school, and then they like cast him, and then they just filmed at that school or something, if I'm recalling the story right. I think his chemistry with Paul Giamatti is pretty incredible, and it's just like it's going to be a new holiday classic for me. I know everyone's been saying that, but like it just checks all the boxes for me of any, like just the emotion of it, the just kind of it's like the Knives Out of 2023. It's got like the cozy fall winter like vibes. It's in complete different genre, of course, than Knives Out, but I feel like they would make a great double feature if I were to have a handful of lists with my, or a box of like all my fall autumn movies, like boom, Holdovers, Knives Out. Those two are immediately at the top of that list.
Totally.
And then I watched Past Lives, which everyone in our group chats have been telling me to watch for like 8 years.
Me as well. Like 8 years. Me as well, and I haven't. So you're winning.
I don't know if I'm winning because this movie is so sad that I was left me a puddle of tears by the end of it. But
That's what I did with La La Land. I just watched La La Land instead, and
so I think
stopped thinking about it.
You need another 6 months to recover from La La Land, and then I'll give you permission to watch this movie. How about that?
I can't watch it within that window. I need the time. I need it.
I think we need to space these out. Everyone needs to see this movie, but also recognize that it is going to crush you. But also, it's like one of the strongest directorial debuts I've seen in a while. It's absolutely gorgeous. Greta Lee gives like one of the most. I think she should have been nominated, if not won, last year. I haven't seen Poor Things or Lily Gladstone's performance in Killers of the Flower Moon, so maybe I'm quick to judge that. But she is just so good in this movie. Anchors the whole thing. It's a really like simple movie. Really, it's just about like people coming back and meeting over the years and realizing different feelings they have for each other. And it's about being away from home, creating your own life in a different country. And there's not necessarily a lot of like plot. Like it's a lot of deep conversations between two characters, yet it's like super visually engaging for like as mundane as I'm describing it. It's a time. I'll just say that. But yeah, loved Past Lives. It's also going to be featured on my list upcoming here. Another one that I saw was Anatomy of a Fall. If I remember we have an inside joke in our group chat about the French poster of this. We have arguments in the group chat about which poster you should have on your letterbox, and so I'm just internally monologuing about everyone having their specific poster and then everyone getting judged in our group chat of which letterbox poster they have up on their profile. I would say, yeah. Anyways,
I wonder if our listeners, I just like, could you imagine, like, I want to speak directly to our listeners right now. Could you imagine getting made fun of for a poster that you choose on a movie review app? Like a group of people targeting you because of a poster you chose to review a movie on an app specifically for reviewing movie. Could you imagine that life? Because that's what we have. And I don't know. I'm proud of it. Maybe not. I don't know. But I feel like I needed to get that out, because that is I think a lot of people would be like, wow, that's what you guys make fun of people for. That's what you joke about. Is posters from Anatomy of a Fall. And that's not a reality that a lot of people have.
No, this is the new bullying, folks. It's no longer on the playground. It's on Letterboxd. This is Letterboxd. This is Letterboxd's entire tagline right here. Letterboxd marketing, please reach out.
Whoever we need to reach out. Well, we can't, but like, not to get political, but Trump and Biden, if you guys want to win the election,
you have to enamor the Letterboxd crowd.
You gotta get Melania and Jill to they always have, the first lady always has their whatever they're trying. They have their own initiatives that they do.
Their agenda.
They're in office. And like Michelle Obama was very popular for for a lot of those things like cyberbullying and eating healthy. And I think, if they want to win, they need to convince their wives individually to get on the anti-letterbox cyberbullying train, and they would win. That's the key to the 2024 election.
Yeah. Telling people that sometimes one sentence joke reviews are just bad, even though we just said it. It's fine when I do it, but when anyone else does it, you suck.
It's fine when we do it, but you're not allowed.
If Preston wants to not see a movie and leave a review, that's totally fine. If our friend Josh wants to watch a movie that's under embargo and review it and put it on his list 8 months before the movie comes out, that's fine. But if you leave a quirky one sentence review after you leave the theater and you put no effort into your review and you get 3,000 likes on your review, I hate you. And I need you to know this.
I've spent over an hour writing Letterboxd reviews.
I know, and your reviews are phenomenal. They're great, and I always read them at like 2 a.m, and I'm like, damn.
I write them at 2 a.m. I write them at 1. You read them at 2.
I'm like, this is journalism. This is underground, undiscovered. I am in the beat of culture right now, and I need everyone else to read this.
Well, on that note, speaking of Letterboxd,
I don't think I've said one thing about Anatomy of a Fall, so let's just rectify that.
Is it on your list?
I said it at the beginning of this. We started this whole thing with talking about the posters.
Yeah. Is it on your top 10?
Oh crap! I don't know.
Do you have your top 10? Do you have a top 10?
Yeah. Okay. You know what?
Well, if it's on your top 10, then let's just wait until we get there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You go. All what's your number 10?
Once again, I want to remind the people, I only watched 26 movies, and I'm hosting a movie podcast right now. Feels a little bit backwards, but here we are. My number 10 movie of the year, and I really liked this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it maybe had a little bit of flaws. I don't know if it'll crack your top 10, but my number 10 was Wonka. I had a lot of fun with Wonka. I liked Wonka. I thought it was good. I thought Timothée Chalamet delivered a performance that was about as good as they could have gotten for the star power that he has. They got as good of a performance that they could have and sold the maximum amount of tickets with that star power behind his name. That's my thought on his performance. I think that there are other actors who could have done better. But I do think that he did well enough. And I think that he was good enough to convince me. The CGI was not great in a lot of aspects, but it was just fun and it was quirky and the villains were hilarious. I loved the 3 villains they had in that movie. The music was good, especially again, considering I was
going to ask about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big like musical theater person and I care about, I love musicals, and I thought the music was really good, even despite the fact that some of the performers were not necessarily known for like being vocalists. You got Timothée Chalamet and like Keegan-Michael Key and these guys who really aren't like known to be popular vocalists. Olivia Colman. I don't think that any of these names, and along with some of the others, are known necessarily for like musical performances. And so I'm always impressed when an actor that I don't know to be a musical actor can turn in a good performance in a musical and sell it singing and dancing as well, because that's an entirely different type of performance. And it's often not necessarily more difficult, but if you're akin to one style of performance and you have to do the other style, it's sometimes a very difficult transition to make, I think, between that. So that was my number 10. Carson, what was your number 10th movie on the list?
Yeah, and also I just wanted to mention quick before I say my number 10, Wonka, I haven't seen it, by the way, and I need to. But it's kind of impressive how successful it was for like not being advertised as the movie it was. It's a full-on musical, right? Like from what I heard, it's pretty much a musical.
Oh yeah, it is a musical through and through. Like burst into song in the middle of the street musical.
Yeah, and so for that to do like over $600 million, it's kind of cool win for the.
It is cool.
The genre.
Yeah, I was happy.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, speaking of very cool, we have my number 10, which is John Wick 4, which, gosh, is I think I just saw a tweet the other day that 1 year since John Wick 4 has been released in theaters. That's crazy. Just everything that's led up to this point in the franchise, you would think it would run out of steam, and then somehow they just create these set pieces, and it's just the perfect role for Keanu and everybody behind the scenes, and all the different cast members are just firing on all cylinders. And I think the last 45 minutes of this movie, it was just like my jaw was on the floor in certain sequences, especially the final stairway scene before the big final battle. It's just like, it, as a movie fan, it's like how it was like I was constantly asking myself, like, how did they do this? How did they do this? I'm just so impressive on a technical level. I know it ends kind of in a questionable place of like where things end up for the franchise. But you know what? I will keep watching these movies until they stop making them. And I think this one is just as impressive as 3, 2, and 1. So that's my number 10.
Yeah, I think that's a great synopsis of it, really. I saw that same tweet, and I'll talk about it later because it is on my list. But I saw that same tweet, and it reminded me, like, I saw the 4 screenshots from the movie, right, that they had attached to that tweet. And it just reminded me, just seeing those 4 screenshots, like, transported me back. And I was like, oh, whoa, wait, whoa. That
so like the club
awesome.
Scene with the waterfall, and you're like,
yeah,
oh my gosh. Remember when I saw that for the first time?
Yeah. There are so many times in that movie where I just laughed because of how cool something was, or just like, oh my God, like they really did that. This is what they're doing. Yeah, that was a spectacular movie. My number 9, actually, let's flip it. Let's alternate. You go first with your number 9.
Okay. I'm here for it. My number 9 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And everyone's collectively booing right now because they're saying too low. You know what? It's a great movie. That's why it's in my top 10. It's also, it ends very abruptly, and I would like the other half of the movie. So that's also why it's like, I think the first movie is more of a complete package. I think I still like the first movie just a tad better in terms of just the overall collective movie experience. But this movie also beats the last movie in a lot of aspects. Technically, it's like, how are they going to improve and expand on everything they built in the first movie? And they're like, all right, we're going to do the multiverse concept, but we're going to execute in a way that no other franchise can do, because we have animation to our advantage and we can get weird with this. And that's how you get scenes of 100 different spider people chasing each other across portals, and it works. It all works. And I think the emotion with Miles and his friends and family is just as great as it is in the first movie, and that's the core of these movies. And I hope the next movie comes out sooner than later, because this is one of the best kind of revitalized animated franchises right now, if not the best. And I look forward to every chapter of this. I think, actually, speaking of which, I think a short film came out today.
Yeah, it was today or yesterday. I can't remember. It was
today or yesterday. Yeah,
might have been. But
so
I haven't watched.
I'm gonna go watch that.
The Spider Within. Haven't watched it yet. It's about Miles dealing with a panic attack and anxiety, and I read that it was really, really good. It's something I'm certainly interested in. I wish that it were coming along with the full thing, the next thing, the Beyond. Right. But at the same time, I mean, it's cool to have it. I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, and speaking of what have I been doing since our last episode, I have now played Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, and just finished Spider-Man 2 the other night. Phenomenal games. I needed to listen to my Preston like 3 years earlier than I did in terms of, you really should play this game. After, following his various photo mode accounts and seeing the wonderful art that he creates in game, I'm like, this game looks really cool. And then I played it, and then I played them all within like 2 months of each other, and I'm addicted. And it's incredible. So I'm a bit of a Spider-Man kick right now, but I'm glad I'm mentioning Across the Spider-Verse because I think it deserves to be in my top 10.
Absolutely. Great movie. You mentioned photo mode. Just briefly, I told you the other day, I truly believe if Spider-Man 2 photo mode on the PlayStation was a lucrative industry, I would be a mega millionaire. I think I'm so good at that. Like, there are I'm not the kind of guy to like claim that I'm good at something. It's like Mario Kart and this. Like, that's it. But I know I'm good at them. And I love photo mode on those games, and those games are spectacular, very, very good, and worthy pick at number 9 with Across the Spider-Verse. I think, like you mentioned, my number 9 may have people up in arms as well, but Barbie falls at number 9 in my top 10. I don't know if this would have made my top 10. I would say that like my top 10 probably would stop around number 6 in other years had I watched the amount of movies I wish I would have watched this year's. But that being said, I really liked Barbie. I think it was a lot of fun. I definitely, I know there was a whole outburst of people whenever Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for Best Director and for Best Actress, respectively. They were, thankfully, both nominated for other categories as well. What I really liked about Barbie, and this was our first episode, but there was no real subtext to this thing. This was, it was just very in your face about exactly what it was about. And I think that that's really cool that we can take, we've said it a million times, but that we can take a major IP and turn it into something like this, and turn it into something that really it has a different mission than selling toys, even though it probably sold a heck of a lot of toys also. But at the same time, told a very good story. Again, something we've talked about on this show plenty of times. But that's my number 9. I liked it a lot. Had a lot of fun with it. Looking forward to rewatching it. I haven't rewatched it actually since I watched it the first time, and I'm looking forward to doing that with this movie. My number 8, Carson, is your number 9. My number 8 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So, and I wanted to say it whenever you said that it was your number 9.
Oh, because well, guess what? Barbie's my number 8. So,
we just flipped them. We haven't seen each other's lists. We didn't establish that at the beginning of this podcast. We have not seen each other's lists. That's funny that Barbie's your number 8. So I guess we'll kind of flip sides and talk about both of them. Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I want to echo a lot of what you said. The ending was very abrupt. Other than that, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen until that. And the ending of a film is so important. I don't think the ending of this film was bad. I think it ended in a really good spot. Yeah. I just think it kind of came out of nowhere. I just think it just didn't feel like that. One thing I read a while back, and I don't want to claim this to be true, but I do think it's an interesting topic to think about, and something that when I do rewatch Across the Spider-Verse, I'm definitely going to pay attention to. I read that there were a lot of musical cues in Across the Spider-Verse, in the third act of Across the Spider-Verse, that there were a lot of musical cues that built up as if it was the end of the movie, and then it wasn't.
I feel like I definitely kept feeling that in the theater. If I'm remembering, maybe I'm having a placebo effect, but because I saw that tweet like very, very shortly after. It was from like a music producer had sent this out, and it said that basically on a previous film that he worked on with Tom Cruise. Cruise noticed it. Cruise noticed, hey, why isn't the ending of this movie
testing well with our test screenings, and Cruise said you're doing the ending music 4 times before the actual end, right before the actual end, and it's throwing people off. And so they removed the music from those scenes. I can't remember which movie it was. Could have been, I think it was one of the Mission Impossible movies. But they removed the music from those scenes, tested the same movie, and it tested well. And it did well with that ending that it already had, just because of the music cues. And I think that's interesting to talk about. I don't know if it's true with Across the Spider-Verse. Again, I haven't rewatched it, but I think it's interesting to talk about because I'm always intrigued by the way that the score of a film kind of guides your emotions through what's happening. It guides your experience subconsciously. And I think that that's the power of music. I don't know much about music. I used to be able to sing, but not anymore. Point being, I'm very fascinated by it because I don't understand it. And I think it's great. It's very cool how the score of a movie can guide your emotions through it. And if that is the case with Across the Spider-Verse, that's an interesting thing because maybe, theoretically, had they just taken that note, say that they had a Tom Cruise in the building that gave them that note, had they taken it and removed some of those musical cues until that ending when he is confronted by the other Miles, etc. I think that maybe what if you did have a different effect? What if we were sitting on this podcast and weren't saying that the ending was abrupt? Maybe, I don't know, but it's interesting to think about. But yeah, phenomenal movie. Like you said, multiverse, the way that they use animation is just nothing short of groundbreaking. It's spectacular. And the way that they subtly use animation, I think, in ways that a lot of general audiences may not understand the different frame rates that they use. And like a lot of film followers may not understand the different frame rates that they use in the moment. They may not see it and catch it, or the different art styles and how one art style is just barely tweaked different.
It all blends together
area.
Perfectly. It
immerses
you in the world. Like if I was noticing stuff jarringly, I think it would be like, oh, this like they haven't created a world that like fits everything that they're trying to accomplish. For me, these two movies are like, because they've gone the extra mile to create all this specific art and specific stylized and different things that allow them to express different things within the movie in both sound and animation. It's like you feel so immersed into it, and it's unlike any other experience that I've had with not just animated movies, but movies in general.
Absolutely. And, I think it was really impressive the way they did that. I hope that they can take some of it's hard to even call it criticism because it was a phenomenal movie and it's impossible. It was always going to be pitted up against the first one. And that is something that I think needs to be acknowledged because a lot of movies don't have that great predecessor that it is inevitably going to be compared to. This is something we saw with Glass Onion a lot. It was always going to be compared to Knives Out, regardless of how good Glass Onion was. It was going to be really, really hard to beat Knives Out, let alone reach Knives Out. And I don't think it did. And I think that it suffered a little bit in the public perception of that because people, instead of comparing it to every other murder mystery, they were comparing it to Knives Out, which is one of the best, I think, ever made. Because that was its predecessor. Same can be said for Spider-Man in this scenario. I think Across the Spider-Verse was inevitably going to be compared to Into the Spider-Verse, and Into the Spider-Verse, it's very great. It's amazing. And I think on a certain level, when you have a movie as good as Into the Spider-Verse is, you kind of have to get lucky. You kind of have to strike gold in a way that you didn't even maybe expect to.
And I think they still are. Like, they still are and still an upswing. And I feel like that is an accomplishment in and of itself that's very, very, very rare. And I'm very excited to see part 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Same. So with that being said, your number 8
was Barbie. Yes. I'll just say quickly, we've talked about it pretty exhaustively on the podcast. But yeah, I think both these movies that we're just mentioning in conversation are subversive of their genres in their own respective ways, and subversive of their IP that they're based off of. And I think they have unique perspectives, and I think that's what makes them resonate with so many people. So I appreciate, Greta Gerwig as a filmmaker, and I think this movie wouldn't be what it is without her perspective and without her sort of driving force behind the movie. And, without someone like her and obviously other producers and Margot Robbie herself fighting for the decisions and subversive nature of this even happening, and certain things in the script happening, and it not sort of being a sanded down version of what it is. Like, it's still pretty incredible that it got through the studio system, it got made, and was received so well as a result. And then, I think we're starting to see some of the lessons play out of like, oh, we can take more risks, and we can, really get behind directors, and that can be a great business model for us, which is, I think, an exciting thing. And especially with its, success at the Oscars, and I can't remember how many categories it won in, but it was cool to see Billie Eilish win for her song in Barbie, and just, of course, seeing Ryan Gosling perform was pretty incredible. Speaking of people who aren't like known musically, but sort of known musically, is like Ryan Gosling is like straddling that line pretty well in terms of La La Land and Barbie, and some other things that he's probably musically done. But yeah, Barbie is just a great movie. And again, like, I feel like I need to, it feels like I'm a little bit detached from it already because I saw it last July, you know what I mean? And that's what we started this podcast. And so I think it's definitely going to be one of those movies that I rewatch here soon. It feels like a summer movie. So I think as soon as it hits summer, I'm going to want to be watching this movie.
Definitely.
But good stuff.
Good stuff. And more good stuff on the way at number 7. What's yours?
My number 7 is the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I don't care if Paramount wants to rename Mission Impossible 8 not Dead Reckoning Part 2. It's fine. I don't need the validation of a Part 2 title to say that I still like this movie. There are some decisions that I question in it. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt until the second part comes out to clear up some narrative things that I may or may not jive with necessarily. But in terms of, continually upping the bar and, creating a world that's continuously fascinating after 7 movies, and, creating fresh new casting decisions and just different inspirations. I think the combination of Christopher McQuarrie as director and Tom Cruise is just remarkable. I could listen to them talk about movies all day. I'm glad you brought up Tom Cruise, and they just have some of the best, just intuition about certain things in movies. And if you ever get a chance to they do these, the Empire magazine does these spoiler breakdowns. I think it's their podcast is called Empire Spoiler Special, but Christopher McQuarrie has gone on that podcast the last couple Mission Impossible movies, and he'll often go on there for 5 hours, and they'll just talk about anything and everything in terms of how the process of this works. And it's utterly fascinating if you're just want to learn the insane detail and lengths that a good director will go to figure out problems in figuring out the narrative and figuring out what works with audiences. It's a fascinating perspective. So yeah, it's definitely not as strong as Fallout. Maybe 2024 will be the year that we get Preston on the Mission Impossible train. We need to.
2023, I got on the train, but I just kind of stayed on the caboose.
You stayed,
I watched the first 3, and I loved 3 so much. That was a good movie. And then I stopped. That's it. That's the end of that story. You're going to
resume again. You're getting off the caboose, and you're coming to the caboose. Yep.
You know what it is? It's Dune Part 2. I've been so wrapped up in Dune that I just need to see more Rebecca Ferguson, and there's only one way to do that. Well, there's probably more ways, but there's one predominant primary way to do that.
You know, get to the movie that she's in Mission Impossible.
Absolutely.
And then, she is. I think you're gonna love her character in these movies, and her dynamic with Tom Cruise is great, and I love both of them in these movies. But yeah, I still think it's a great movie. I think you're gonna like it when you eventually get to this movie. Definitely, like I said before, it's probably in my top half of the franchise. It's not cracking that top upper echelon, but again, hard to do when you're comparing to the last movie. It's one of those scenarios where a lot of people, including myself, thought Fallout was pretty much the peak of where just the momentum of this could lead. And I think this is a solid follow-up.
Absolutely. With that being said, my number 7, bit of a tone shift from Mission Impossible, but my number 7 is The Holdovers. We talked about it earlier briefly. I love this movie. My mom actually asked me a couple hours ago today. She was like, "What's that movie that you keep telling me to watch that you say me and Dad
Same
would
with
love?
my mom. I told him to watch
something
it
cozy,
last weekend.
something comfortable, like Christmassy or something." I said, "It's The Holdovers. You gotta watch it." I loved it. I loved this movie. You mentioned Dominic Sessa and Paul Giamatti. Their chemistry is spectacular. And I forgot how to say her name, and I feel bad because I do want to mention her. Best Supporting Actress from this year, Divine Joy Randolph.
Phenomenal.
I don't know if it's Divine or Divine. I can't remember. I'm sorry. She was great. Maybe the best performance in the movie, to be honest. I think she more than deserved that Oscar. I'm very happy she won. Me too. And I can't wait to see more that she does in the future. I'd seen her in a couple things before, but I can't wait to see more that she does going forward. I really, really loved it. And with that being said, my number 6 is one of the movies that I am surprised that Carson Terrell hasn't seen yet.
Ooh.
Killers of the Flower Moon. I am surprised you haven't seen it, number 1. Number 2, I think you're going to like it quite a lot. I loved this movie. You know, I thought it was really great. It was long, but it felt like it used its time very intentionally. Which is, you know, you expect nothing less of Martin Scorsese. I think in a lot of scenarios, we almost get, I don't know what the word is, desensitized to how great this dude is at this stuff.
Right.
Because
he's been doing it for so long. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, this man, like, he should have been one of the more heavy hitters for best directing. But when you've been doing it so long and when you've already got your hardware, they don't really consider you as much as they would have otherwise. This happens in sports as well, which, you know, I'm a sports
the ageism.
Reporter, so I talk about it all the time. It is. No, I mean, it literally almost is. It's voter fatigue in a way. And it's just something that, I don't know.
There he is again. He's back in the race, and it's like, yeah, he's that good. He's that.
Yeah,
he doesn't miss.
Yeah, he's back in the race, and frankly, he should be a little bit higher. But because he's been in the race so many times, you don't want to give him a little bit higher. And I think it's fair. You know, there are new up and coming directors, new up and coming actors, whatnot. That all I think should be, that certainly should be recognized, and again, should be recognized and near the top of the race as well. So I understand it. But yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon, great. Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, and Robert De Niro. They are a perfect trifecta of actors. They're spectacular. They just breathe so much life into this script. I don't think the script is lifeless per se. I don't think the script's bad at all, but I think they take something that could be really good and they make it really great. And that's special. It's heartbreaking. But it's important. And, you know, I lived in Oklahoma for 4 years where this movie is set. I didn't know really much about the Tulsa Race Massacre. I know it wasn't taught in schools for a long time. I don't know if it is now. And I didn't know the story behind the Osage people, which is what this movie focuses on primarily, at all. And that sucks. And maybe that's due to my own, ignorance toward this. Maybe I just need to educate myself. Maybe I need to know more. But it is sad because tragedy gets silenced, I think, when it affects or when it indemns those in power, when it damns those in power, essentially. And that's kind of what this story's about. And they just really hit the nail on the head. One more thing on Martin Scorsese before we get to your number 6. He is in the waning years of his career, right? It's no secret. He's old. He probably doesn't have that many movies left in him. And he doesn't have to be making movies right now. There are a lot of legendary directors who have reached his age or earlier than his age and stopped making movies because they've got enough money. They've done what they wanted to do. They did everything they set out to do, and they're good. They can retire. Scorsese's not doing that. He could be making, blockbuster slop, for lack of a better phrase. He could be making the next, I don't know, Captain Marvel 3 or whatever. But point being, he's not doing that. He's not going for the paycheck. He's not retiring, even though he certainly could. And frankly, if I were in his position, maybe I would too. But I think it's amazing that one of the best filmmakers of all time is spending his years that could be spent in retirement and making something like this, an important story that hasn't been told on this scale, that should be told on this scale, that props up diverse cultures that haven't been spotlighted the way that maybe they should be, and a story that hasn't been spotlighted the way it should have been at the time that it was happening. The fact that he's spending, some of the latter years of his career doing something like this, it speaks to more than his filmmaking prowess. It speaks to his
character.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just like this guy's good at this. It's like this guy's good at this, and you have to be a genuinely really good person to spend these years doing this and doing it accurately, and doing it with full respect to all parties involved. So bravo to Martin Scorsese. I don't think he got enough love for this film, specifically for this film, for the reasons that I just mentioned, along with the fact that it's spectacular. I really think he should have gotten a little bit more flowers than he did, frankly. And I'm really glad that it exists. And this is another one that I'm really, really excited to rewatch sometime. But with that
Preston,
being said,
it didn't make money. It didn't make money.
No.
Should it exist?
I will be watching it again. Your number 6.
Yes, just great points on it. It makes me even more excited to watch this movie. I'm just waiting for like the perfect Saturday where I'm like in the right mindset to just like pop on this movie, because I know I'm gonna. It's one of those things that like I already respect it too much to just like throw it on a random Tuesday night. Like I want to give it. Especially because I'm not seeing it in theaters now that it's out at theaters, which is completely of my own doing. I'm trying to give it like the full locked in
attention.
Experience. Yeah. Intention.
I think I do that same thing. I do that thing with my friends and coworkers and some of the people that I interview, some of the coaches that we work with in my job. They probably don't like me for it, but I do that with like texts, and you probably don't like me for it. I've done it to you. I know that. If I see a text in a moment that I'm busy and I'm like, I need to give this the proper attention that it deserves because this matters to me, I will not read it. Like I'll leave it unread in the text app, and then I'll like pin it to the top of my texts
and be like,
so that
I will circle
me.
back to this.
Every time I open my text app, I'm like, oh, there's Carson, and I have to talk to him about Zollipod. We have to record this podcast again. We have to get back. I've done that to you, so I apologize if it leads to a delay.
I've done that to you
texting.
too, probably.
It leads to a delay in my responses, as it leads to your delay in Killers of the Flower Moon. So I understand. But your number 6.
My number 6 is the movie that I mentioned earlier, but forgot to say a single word about. That is Anatomy of a Fall. This movie, I heard so much about, and I'm like, I knew it was, it was released by Neon. It's got all this hype for award season. I'm like, all right, I know what I'm getting into. it's like a slight murder mystery. Like we don't really know what's going on. Seems like more of a drama. Wow, was I unprepared for this? This movie is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's about many things. At the core of it, I would say it's about like the kind of unseen assumptions and just kind of weight that people put onto each other, and how that really, depending on the dynamic of a relationship, can really skew and ruin things and lead to some crazy things. You would think this movie, like the center of this movie is about someone that dies, and you would think that the natural inclination for like the plot of the movie would be like, all right, we need to solve the plot and figure out like who conclusively did this. But this movie does a really cool thing, is it really never necessarily confirms or denies the exact order of events that actually happened. It's not interested in that. It's more interested in like the moral dilemmas and fallout of this crime itself and everything surrounding it, which I think makes for one of the stronger endings of the year. There's a dog in this movie, which makes it about 5 times better as well. He was walking the red carpet. He has a great scene. It would have made an incredible Oscars clip. But Preston, you should watch this movie.
I do need to watch it.
It's in French and English, so you get a little break from the subtitles, and then you go back to French, and then you go into English. But good stuff. The lead, I think it's Sandra Holler, phenomenal. And also there's a very young kid who plays the son in this movie. One of the best debut performances, just kind of like Dominic Sessa as well. I think their performances this year is like, wow, you are like amazing young talent that I think Hollywood should be looking at in terms of developing them into new leads. Good stuff from France. And I can't remember if it won. I think it won screenplay. I can't remember.
I think it did.
I think it's like the Oscars were 2 weeks ago, and I'm like already acting like it's.
I think it's been like a month. I'm pretty sure it's been a month.
Wasn't it like March 12th or something?
Maybe it wasn't. No, I'm wrong. You're right. I'm wrong. Don't listen to me. In my head, the Oscars are a February thing. I don't know why.
I you know what? That's so true, because I'm still off on the whole pandemic. Like, I think the eligibility period changed, and then they never changed it back.
Yeah.
And so now it's confusing.
Now we are officially in the top 5.
Let's go. Us off. My top 5 is Oppenheimer, our other debut nominee here of the Zollypod lore, our first episode. If you want to go listen to that, if you're listening to this episode for the first time, we talk about Oppenheimer and Barbie. Oppenheimer, again, I feel a little detached from it now. I need to rewatch it. It's another thing that when I did see it in IMAX, like opening weekend, it was, I felt like Oppenheimer at the end of the movie, like slow push into my face. Like I'm questioning everything. Like, what did I just see? So I need to rewatch this movie, because I think Cillian Murphy, phenomenal. I think it might be one of Christopher Nolan's most interesting movies, like that he just like chose this subject matter to dive into, when, again, it's like he could make anything. He could choose any genre, any type of movie, but he chose to like unearth this 900-page biography on this guy and create like this like complex layered thing that, on paper wouldn't really sound that visually engaging, besides the bomb itself, or like it wouldn't necessarily lend itself to like a very momentous story, because there's just so much detail in terms of all the people involved, all the politics involved, the time period and the amount of time that this spans, and like the conflict of everything that's happening. But he somehow condenses it and expands it in such a way that like I've just never seen anyone do before. And like, again, like his like intuition and sense of time, and like obviously time is like a huge thing in all of his movies, and it plays into the way that the film is edited and everything. It's just there's no one else doing it like this right now. Like, he is in our top echelon of people making movies right now. And the fact that he made a 3-hour movie about this is fascinating and cool. And I'm glad it made $900 million. That's the end of my take on Oppenheimer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything you said. It's also interesting that this movie comes after what happened with Warner Brothers, where he signed that first look deal with Universal now. I think that's very interesting, and we'll talk more about this movie later because it has not appeared yet on my list, and I would be remiss if
spoilers.
Well, Wonka's my number 10, so if I included Wonka but not Oppenheimer, I think I would have to have my movie podcaster license revoked.
Hey,
actually, I've seen some movie podcasters who, we won't get
you know what? We don't need to rank movie podcasters.
Coming up next on Zollipod. Just kidding.
Where do we rank ourselves in the zeitgeist of movie podcasts?
I don't know. Taking a 5 months break, I rank us. Hey, but we're here. We're here.
We're back.
My number 5, one that you've already mentioned on your list, and one that maybe out of my top 10, I'm most excited to rewatch this. I'm chomping at the bit. John Wick Chapter 4, baby. I mean, you hit it on the nail. You hit the nail on the head. Not much more that I even want to say about this movie that you didn't say already. Phenomenal. Spectacular. Fight choreography, cinematography, performances. We don't think of Keanu Reeves as like a top tier actor. We don't think of Keanu Reeves as, like a Leonardo DiCaprio type guy or a Timothy Chalamet, in this new generation.
Right. But he should be considered like that. I agree.
They have given him a role that is so specific to what he is so good at. And he absolutely crushes it in this movie, even more than in the other ones. Than in the previous 3, in which I think he also crushes it. So the ending of the movie, obviously without getting into like spoiler territory or whatnot, the ending of the movie is pretty finite. It's pretty conclusive. And I know that they were like originally planning to shoot John Wick Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 at the same time, which I don't know. I don't know what Chapter 5 could be. I know that they're still working on it, I believe.
They have the ballerina prequel with Ana de Armas, which is coming out. It was supposed to come out this summer. They delayed it a year to do reshoots and whatever. But Keanu's going to be in that because he's still alive in that time frame. But then it's like, where would you go from here? And they tried the Continental spinoff on Peacock. I don't think anybody watched that.
John Wick, the creators of John Wick have come out. I don't know who it was. Someone who was
all of them. That's why they I think they hired Stahelski or whoever.
They disowned the Continental. They came out and said hey, that's not what we did. We did the movies, and then Peacock did this.
No, there's there's a John Wick council now in terms of people that oversee the franchise, which is so ironic given the what is it called in the movies?
Franchise?
The high table. The high table. There's literally now a high table. I remember reading the Deadline article. They're serious about this, but it's all stuff has to go through them now in terms of they want to keep creating more stuff in this universe, which I think is an interesting universe, and there's definitely stuff you could do with that. It's just going to be very interesting to see how they pivot into a character that's not John Wick and how that can succeed. Right. You have to hit lightning in the bottle in terms of matching the vibe of someone with the character of whoever they're going to be playing, and then just the general tone of things. All three of those things
creating
were so
a
perfect.
copycat.
Without creating a copycat of the vibe that Keanu embodied so well. You got to pivot and then make it fresh at the same time, which is going to be very tough. It's I almost want the team to just focus on its new action franchise. But if I can get good to great movies from this team in this universe, I will be happy.
Yeah, my thought on sequels that quote unquote don't need to exist is what movie does need to exist? None of them. Mm-hmm. They don't. None of them need to exist.
Argyle needs to exist, Preston.
Argyle needs to exist. just so Dua Lipa can establish her acting career.
Dua Lipa can establish
10 years from now when she's on that Oscar stage. Just kidding.
She will mention Argyle. Thank you, Matthew Vaughn, for casting me in Argyle.
Thank you, Henry Cavill. Thank you, Henry Cavill's hair. Anyways, back on John Wick 4. My thought on movies that quote unquote don't need to exist, specifically sequels, is none of them do, first of all. And second of all, let them try. Maybe it works. Toy Story 4, one of my favorite movies of the last few years. One of my favorite movies of the last 10 years was Toy Story 4. I love that movie. It does not need to exist at all. Toy Story 3 is a phenomenal conclusion to that entire saga. They could have, cut the check and been done with it. Obviously, it made so much money that they weren't going to do that. And I think John Wick may be in a similar position. So John Wick Chapter 5, I don't know what they're going to do, but it's not my job to know what they're going to do. And they haven't missed yet. So if John Wick Chapter 5 happens, I have no clue how you do that from a narrative standpoint. No idea whatsoever. It seems like you've pretty much written the story to its natural conclusion. But at the same time, I've seen it done before where they make characters come back or they continue a story that seems like it was over. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that involves Keanu Reeves as John Wick or not. I don't know if that gets supernatural with the way number 4 ended, but at the end of the day, it's not my job to know any of that stuff. It's my job to show up and have a good time. And so far, they've allowed me to do that pretty well. So if John Wick Chapter 5 happens, I'll be the first one to buy those tickets if it's the same crew making the film. So I'm all for it. We did your number 5. Number 4 for me. This is another movie that I'm surprised you haven't seen, and I'm excited for you to see because I think you'll like it. Poor Things, Emma Stone. I am so happy she won that Oscar. I think Lily Gladstone was phenomenal as well. I would have been so happy if she won that Oscar. So I don't really think I don't think of it as, either
being robbed or anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody was robbed because Emma Stone was spectacularly deserving of this Oscar. And without spoiling it, because I don't want to, because I know you haven't seen it, but without spoiling it, I think that Poor Things does Barbie a lot better than Barbie does Barbie.
Ooh.
And I'll kind of leave it at that. I'll let you make your own assumptions, but for our listeners who have seen Barbie and maybe haven't seen Poor Things, which is most of the people in America, go watch Poor Things because I think it does Barbie better than Barbie, and Barbie did Barbie really good. I think Emma Stone absolutely crushes it. Her range in this film is just off the charts. The things that she's able to do. You can't make this movie without Emma Stone. And there are a lot of great actresses out there. And I'm thinking of a lot of the best ones. Margot Robbie's one that immediately pops into my head. In the same age as Emma Stone and in the same point in her career, and also very talented and great. Margot Robbie doesn't make this movie the way that Emma Stone makes this movie. She is so good. The themes of this movie jump off the screen. The characters are spectacular. Everything feels designed absolutely intricately and perfectly. Production design is fantastic. Costume design is fantastic. They execute all of their ideas well. 5 stars for me. I loved Poor Things. And that's another movie that I can't wait to rewatch. Really, really well done. And again, I'll say it one last time. Barbie did Barbie well, but I think Poor Things does Barbie better than Barbie did Barbie. And that's your take of the day. That's a high compliment for me because I loved Barbie. So Poor Things really, really knocked it out of the park. So with that being said, Carson, top 4. Where do we go?
Number 4 for me, movie we've talked about, The Holdovers. Again, a new cozy Christmas classic. I love everything about it. It's funny. I don't think that's the thing we've mentioned so far. Like, there's so
really
many
funny.
Scenes, really, really funny.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head, when he breaks it or sprains his arm, and they're like, it's just like so the banter back and forth from like funny to like hating each other to like, okay, we're like serious and we want to be emotional. Like it balances like the whole gamut of emotions of like so well. Like I feel like a worse movie would have felt just like way too serious or way too comedic. It's like it finds the perfect balance, and the Dominic and Giamatti are just like so aware of that. And it just makes the movie so much better. I love it.
Yeah.
Am I on to my number 3?
It's really funny. Yeah. Let's go on to your number 3. This is the bronze of
the
bronze medal winner of Carson's 2023 movie watching.
The bronze for my Olympics of Letterboxd goes to Japan. Suzumi is my number 3 movie. I saw this movie.
That was a funny way to put that.
Sorry, I don't know why I did that.
I'm laughing. I thought that was funny. I love that.
Anyway,
Suzumi, let's talk about it.
This movie is a anime feature film from the director of Your Name, which you haven't seen, is his 2016 movie that's wildly popular. Just to give you like context, like both of his last 2 movies have grossed like $300 million like worldwide, which I don't think people realize how big like the popularity of anime is growing, like especially in obviously Japan, but Korea and China and all sorts of places, and the US even. Like this grossed like
it's growing a
$15
lot
million.
In the US. I've noticed just alone from like my personal maybe I'm just getting to know more anime people, but I feel like it's growing. I feel like over the years, more and more people are either talking about anime within my life or trying to get me to watch anime within my life, because I'm not, I used to be like, I used to say that I hated anime, like categorically. I've grown. I'm not that way anymore. Do I watch it? No, but I am open to it. So we'll see if I end up watching it. But yeah, I know I've had a lot of people in my life, especially over the course of the last few years, I think, have an interest in anime. I think it's growing. Yeah.
And best way I could describe this, it's like a Star Wars world between worlds romance meets high concept like fantasy adventure. There is a character who gets turned into a chair. There's many memes about this.
I'm sold.
And she has to like carry this chair around and get him not to be a chair. And there's portals and cool scenes floating through the air. And it's amazing.
And you're like, yeah, number 3.
Number 3. Hands down.
With that description, it's funny with the chair thing.
I know. But then you'll get to the end of the movie and you'll be like, I'm crying about this chair. Like, okay, this is hitting me. I love
movies that can take, and I don't want to interrupt you because I know that you want to talk more about this movie and I want to hear more. But I love movies that can take a seemingly unserious or like silly almost, or even ridiculous concept, and by the end of the movie, like really get you to care so much. I love that stuff. It really, to me, is like a hallmark of spectacular writing.
Yes. And that's like my favorite part about this movie is there's so much going on, so fantastical. Often as anime is, it's like there's just so much happening and there's like so much like lore that it's trying to like catch you up on per se, in terms of like what is really happening in the world and who's experiencing it and how is it changing things. But by the end of the movie, it really simplifies itself and gets to the emotional core. And it makes the journey that much more worth it through all the stuff that happens. And I love those kind of movies that really they earn your trust per se. They get you to buy into something, and by the end you're like, I'm so glad I invested 2 hours into this. That is this movie for me.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited because now I want to watch it. Like I said, I haven't watched a lot of anime. I've watched some. I haven't watched a whole lot, but I'm open to it, and I really want to watch The Boy and the Heron, which you have not mentioned yet. So I'm assuming we're going to talk about it, but I haven't seen your list, so I'm assuming we're going to talk about it in that top 2. We'll see. My number 3, this movie is by far, not even close, by not a mile, by a marathon, the most underrated movie of the year, if you ask me.
Here we go.
What if I'm like Blue Beetle? No. Murder Mystery 2. No. No, it's Bottoms with Rachel Sennett. Yeah, and Ayo Edebiri.
My number 18 of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know I didn't know that if you had seen it.
It's a great movie. It's so
my number
funny.
3. It's my number 3 because of that. I think, like, I don't know. I think that there are comedies out there that I like more. Not many. Certainly not many. Probably not more than, 6 or 7, honestly. That being said, I don't know if I've ever seen a comedy where every single line delivery is perfect from every single actor. That's how I feel about this movie. And, I used to act in high school, and something that ever since I ever was on a stage, even in the most minor of roles, I'm fascinated by line deliveries. I'm fascinated by what goes through a person's head when they read a sentence on a script and they say, how would this person say this?
And the
there's
improv
so many
of
different
all this.
ways. So much improv. There's so many different ways you can say something. There's so many different inflections, so many different ways that you can deliver something. And comedies are really, really hard to nail that, especially in a film setting, in a movie setting, because there's not a live audience. Comedies, when there's a live audience, like comedians talk about this all the time, how much they really, really hate filming specials for like Netflix. And how different it is, and how
because you probably overproject compared to
you have to adjust the way that you do your comedy, because it's not so much of an intimate setting between an audience and a performer. Now you're filming this for the entirety of the world, and in a film setting, I think that's even more difficult with a film like Bottoms, because you don't have a live studio audience laughing at what you do. You're just saying these lines and hoping that they land whenever an audience does watch this film. And every single line, I'm not even exaggerating, I was thinking this throughout the entire movie, every single line of this movie is delivered exactly how I would want it delivered. If I were the director of this movie, and if every performance were delivered this way before any directorial notes, I wouldn't have any notes for anything in this movie. I think it's just spectacular. It's everything that every comedy should try to be, in my opinion, in terms of, again, just comedic timing, comedic delivery. That's so hard to nail. It's so hard to nail, especially without an audience right in front of you. And they nail it time and time and time and time again in this movie. I adored Bottoms. I loved it. And as an NFL fan, Marshawn Lynch in this movie, not only just seeing him, but seeing him like be good. Like he's really funny. I say every line delivered to perfection. He's included in that. I don't know how.
Have you seen there's this like Will Arnett, like Netflix thing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. His episode in that is hilarious. He carries the entire thing. Because like the premise is like everyone has a script except for them. And so like he has to like basically react to the situation. Oh my God. It's so funny. It's like totally up his alley.
I want to go watch that. He's a hilarious person. He's so funny. I'm a big fan. But yeah, Bottoms is my number 3. Absolutely adored that movie. Whose turn is it? I've gotten confused.
I think you go to 2. Yeah, you go to 2.
My number 2 is one that I think my top three is a little weird because one of them's like really predictable, and the other two, like bottoms, I don't think many people have bottoms in their top three, regardless of how many movies they've seen in the year. And this one I think is also probably a little similar in that way. Normally I don't go against the grain as much as I feel like I did this year, at least in terms of my top three. I don't know if that means that maybe my media literacy is dwindling, and I should
you're
like
a letterboxed loser, is what it
maybe
means, Preston.
maybe it should just be like Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Holdovers up there. But man, that talking raccoon,
speak your
that
truth
talking
right
raccoon got to me in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm telling you, that's my number 2 movie on the year. I thought it would hold the top spot after I saw it, honestly. And a lot of that is personal preference with this movie in particular. The Guardians movies have always been really special to me. Volume 2 has been my comfort movie ever since it came out. You know, if I've ever had... Volume 2 was like... It's weird to say this almost in a way, but I think everyone kind of has movies that... or not everyone, but a lot of people, especially a lot of movie fans... have movies that they'll go and they'll watch if they're if they've had a bad day or if it's not a great time in their life, you know, something that makes you feel good. Guardians Volume 2 has been the number 1 movie for me in that regard for the last 7 years of my life. If I've had a bad day and I need something to cheer me up, and I need something that will be a surefire cheer me up thing, it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So I've revisited that movie a million times. The first one I've revisited as well. I think it's one of the best Marvels ever made, along with Volume 2. And I think that this movie, Volume 3, just really... You see me right now, I'm speechless, and I'm on a podcast. It's the one thing you can't be. But I am. I just think it just really tied it all up perfectly. And with a trilogy and a cast of characters that I have really personally grown to adore and feel like I know them almost in a weird parasocial kind of way. Like, I feel like I feel like these guys are my friends. Like, that's how good this movie is. Like, I am so immersed in the Guardians story. That Guardians Volume 3, even though, I will say this, even though the pacing is a little bit all over the place and the Gamora stuff, you can clearly tell that James Gunn kind of had to retool what he was going to do with Gamora after they killed off his Gamora in Endgame. You know, even despite all of these things, I cried so hard for the last like 15, 20 minutes of this movie. Like extended cry session.
Oh my God.
Not just
it's
like,
such, speaking
what a
of
good
long
moment.
endings, speaking of like, is it going to end? But like, I didn't want it to end, you know? I'm like, I need to like embrace all of this.
I just was soaking it all in. And the first time I watched it, man, was one of the most emotional times I've ever had in a theater. That damn talking raccoon.
He gets you.
It got me. And James Gunn has said, you know, this is a trilogy about a talking raccoon. And you know what? This is another thing, you know, carrying a chair around and you're crying about a chair. I'm crying about a CGI raccoon multiple times throughout this film and in the other ones too. I mean, just I don't have the words to describe what this movie and this trilogy means to me on a personal level. And you know, it's why I love movies is movies like this. And I know it's a part of the Marvel machine and whatever. Whatever. I don't care. I love it. I love it. I don't care. It's just,
in the words of Jake Sully, I see you, Preston.
Yeah. I feel very personally attached to these movies. And, you know, at a certain point, I was talking to my friend Joe about it, and, you know, he works in Hollywood. He's very, very in tune with what makes a good movie and what doesn't, right? And it's his job. And when I was talking to him about it, he was like, you know, the story is a little all over the place, but at the end of the day, I still love it more than other movies that have that quality. And I don't know why. And
emotion over logic.
I feel the same way because this film, the characters are the story. The characters are the plot. It's point A to point B, where the characters begin and where they end. And as an extension, where they began in volume 1 to where they end in volume 3. But really, within this film alone, it's about the characters. I think they all have very individual and distinct arcs in a way that I don't think the first two films do. I think this film does some things with Drax in particular that the first two really didn't accomplish for me, especially in volume 2. I feel like he didn't really do a whole lot in that film that I wish he would have.
Yeah, he was just more comedic in 2.
Yeah. I loved his arc in this one. I loved Peter Quill's arc in this one, especially considering that he's not the main character of this film, and he's kind of been poised as the main character of the first two. What they were able to do with his character and his mourning of his relationship with Gamora was impressive to me, where he ends up and where he begins, all of this stuff. What they did with Gamora, I thought, given the circumstances, that's about as good as they could have done. And it's really good. Frankly, I would have loved to see, this is one of the few instances within the MCU timeline that I'm like, I really wish that they could have just said, screw the timeline. We're going to make it. We're just going to make a direct sequel to volume 2 and pretend Infinity War and Endgame didn't happen.
I would have been happy. He does interesting things with it. Like, it definitely, for what it was, like, he definitely earned my respect for juggling that whole deal and figuring out emotions for the whole trilogy to make sense.
Absolutely. Nebula's spectacular in this one. Her arc from 1 to 3 is
insane.
Yeah. And pulled off really well. It's insane. And it's like, it's impressive when you look back at it and you really think about like just the type of character she started as to the type of character she ends as. And a lot of that work is done in volume 3. Really, really well done. I feel like I'm just rambling. Every other one of these movies, I feel like I can kind of cohesively and I can compactly put it all together.
But not this one, because you could talk about it forever.
I can't, and I could, but I'm going to stop myself right now. Carson, what's your number 2?
My number 2, speaking of crying, the movie, Past Lives. I talked about it. It's my number 2 of the year. If you had said, I know you weren't going to say it, but if you had said, after I just said I'm going to stop talking about it, if you had said Guardians Volume 3, I would have lost my mind. You would have started crying, probably.
I probably would have.
Past Lives. Again, this was a late addition to my list after catching up on some movies. It's one of those movies that you sit there after it ends, and it ends on a very specific emotional thing. You have those movies that are like hard resets in your life. There's no other way I can describe it. It's like, yes, it's cliche to be like, I left a different person, or I see this aspect of my life differently, or I think of this person that I know differently, or I think about a situation in my past differently. All those things just sort of come boiling over in this movie, and in such a tangible and indescribable, just like truth, I guess would be the word I would use. It's just like, it gets to the core of the human experience and like how crazy and unique and just memorable life is, and just like all the things that are and end up, we only have so much time, and it's like we only can spend it with so many people, and we can never please everybody. We can never do everything perfectly, and we can never live our lives the exact way we picture them. And it's like all comes to a head in this movie, and it's freaking beautiful, man. I cannot wait for you to see this movie. Again, you have a 4 to 6 month buffer until I allow you to see it.
I was gonna say, that description you just gave, like I'm emotional thinking of these concepts. Genuinely, when you list them out like that, it's like, wow, that you're right. And there are those movies that you have that make you think of these things in ways that maybe you haven't before.
And it's one of those movies that makes me realize how grateful I am that this like medium exists. And it's like, wow, like just recapping even 2023 movies. It's like there's so much that came out in movies that I haven't even seen yet. Like I haven't even seen Poor Things. I haven't even seen Killers of the Flower Moon. And like hearing you talk about like how important Killers of the Flower Moon, of like just the history of it, and just like not just like learning new things. And then like on the flip side, Past Lives is more about like just the emotional potency of life and all the different things. And so it's like movies, you learn things, you feel things, and I don't think there's just nothing like it. And that's why it's my number 2. Man, now I'm getting emotional talking about this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that was beautiful description, and so much better than my description of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
but like
which means an equal amount.
I was trying to mirror that because it's like that's how I feel about this movie, and
yeah,
it was a little weird because it was like I was told for 8 months that like what my thoughts were going to be on this movie, and like, oh my God, you're going to love this, or oh my God, you're not ready for this, but you need to watch it immediately, and then like to watch it and so deeply resonate with it despite like all the hype and discourse of like what you think the movie is going to be,
people predetermining your opinion, whether for like even in a goodwill setting, like you're gonna love this
even in a good and so that's why it's like I think so high on my list, is because it like defied all those like this all the noise went away. Like there was no point in this movie where I was thinking about like what I was gonna tell my friends afterwards that like I like this, or I was just locked in. Like there wasn't, it's just like one of those experiences where you're not thinking about any external factors, which is so great.
It's a special thing because when you're watching movies a lot of the time, especially a movie that someone tells you, you're going to love this, or I can't wait to, or you hear, or maybe you read a bunch of reviews and then you feel like your opinion has already been dictated to you, or I'm supposed to like this movie because the critics like this movie or whatever. There are a lot of different ways through that. And I think it happens almost inversely a lot of the time. All the critics hate this movie and then you get in, oh my God, I love this movie. Whatever it may be. It's an interesting phenomenon, and it's always it's a hallmark of some of the best movies ever made. Again, having not seen Past Lives, it's a hallmark of some of the best movies ever made when you truly become engulfed in a story, in a world, and in the characters' worlds, and in their lives, and in their stories, and you forget about what everyone's told you about the movie. You forget it's a movie. You're in it. You're engulfed, you're immersed. And I think that's the magic of movies. And when you have a movie like that truly makes you just forget about all of the external discussion, all of the external impacts that theoretically should be impacting the way you view the movie. And in a worse movie, even if it was still good, probably would impact the way you view the movie. It's very impressive. And I don't know, I'm rambling, but I know where you're coming from, and it only makes me more excited and also more dreadful to watch it.
Speaking of just like this whole conversation, that I will lean into my number 1, which is The Boy and the Heron, which you had kind of hinted at because you knew it was going to be in my top 10, but you didn't know where it was. So, describing all that in Past Lives, I would say that The Boy and the Heron is all that contemplative life stuff, but at the same time, it's also about grief. It's also about sort of a metaphor for, Hayao Miyazaki has had like a 60-year career, right? Like he's been making movies for forever. And it's about him like grappling about his own legacy and his own existence, and like his own, basically like the title of this before it was retitled The Boy and the Heron is like, how do you live ? It's basically about like how do you keep going? How do you deal with your own circumstances in life after so many years, after, you know, being stuck on certain things or thinking things in a certain way, or just creativity in general? How do you exist in a world that is crushing creativity? How do you continue to make art in a world that often suffocates it? That's what this movie is about. And for a master of animation and storytelling to spend 10 years making something, like his last movie, The Wind Rises, is my favorite movie of his. And that was released in 2013. And for him to like equally raise the bar, like, it's just like, again, it just reminds me of your Martin Scorsese discussion when Killers of the Flower Moon. It's like, we are so lucky to be witnessing this man in his 80s releasing another movie. Like, it is a gift. And this will be a movie that, like, I will show my kids someday, like when they're like, you know, in their tweens, or, you know, whenever they're ready to watch this movie, because it deals with some serious themes, whatever. Moral of the story is, like, this will be on my shelf for all time. Like, it's just like one of those movies that's immediately like, this will be incorporated into my life, and I will think about it in some aspects and be reminded of it far into the future. And again, I talk about, and we've talked about, how some of these movies are like our crutches or signify certain moments in our life. I think this movie is like one of those movies that I'll live with. I think there's those movies which are sort of a separate echelon, but kind of related, of like movies we just live with and are a part of us. And I think this is one of those movies, and that is why it's my number one. It's good.
That was beautiful, and I don't have a follow-up. I can't follow that. I cannot follow that. And partially because I just don't really have a strong emotional connection to my number one. I just think it's spectacular. But yeah, no, that was beautiful. And I think that we do all have movies like that we do live with, and movies that not only maybe signify a time period in our life, or something that we remember this time period because it was when we watched this movie and it meant X, Y, and Z to us at the time, and it was important for us at the time. But the other movies that stick with you in a way that you can be going through daily life, just, whatever that may look like, whatever it may be, anything in the world could be going on within your life, or anything in the world could happen to you. You could just be somewhere. You could hear something said by someone. You could say something yourself that reminds you. It triggers something in you, I think. And you're like, this reminds me of this movie that I watched a while ago that has still a lasting impact on me and has changed the way I view things, or has changed the way that I behave, or the way I act, or the way that I talk about certain things,
or connect with things, or like,
yeah.
I think it's just like, in a world of like billions and billions of people, it's like, sometimes it's like crazy. It's like, oh my God, just another day of work, and it's just this, and you're just, so much is happening in our personal lives that is, just about us. And then to like relate to somebody else's work and experience and something they poured their soul into, is just like, it's just kind of like satisfying in a way a lot of things aren't. That's the only way for me to describe it, is like, it's a good reminder of like everything is happening to everybody else in their own way. And it's just like remarkable to see someone like so talented do that in a way that like maybe you've always wanted to express something one way, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I feel that now because this person has expressed it in this art form. Which that's why we started this podcast, man. It's like, there's so much that we always want to talk about, because I can't remember. There was a quote recently from somebody. If this rings a bell, tell me the person. It was like, someone saying that, cinema is only 100 years old, and think how far the medium has come in only like 100 years of like, feature films and just general production across the world, from silent films, black and white, all the way to where we are now. it's like crazy to think about. And I'm so glad that and I'm so excited for like where it's going. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Well, my number one, I wish we had organized this ahead of time and thought of it ahead of time so that we could have ended on your number one, because I don't have much. I do have some things to say, obviously, but I don't have an emotional connection to it per se or whatever. But my number one is Oppenheimer, the number one of the Academy, the number one of just about everybody. And I think
I don't know. Actually, a lot of people have it their number one movie of the year. Like I'd say it's like consistently in people's like definitely like top 3, top 5. But like, I don't know if I've talked to anybody besides you, I guess, that has been like Oppenheimer is the definitive best movie. I mean, obviously it won Best Picture, but often that's not like necessarily like automatically mean that it's the number one on people's list.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think also based on all of my friends' descriptions of past lives, I feel like that when I do watch it, will take this spot.
Could overtake it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel, again, based on my personal preference, the kind of movies that I love and the way that a lot of people who I trust, including yourself, the way that they talk about past lives, I feel like Oppenheimer may not remain at number one in terms of 2023 for me, but right now it is. And for a lot of reasons, obviously, directing spectacular, Cillian Murphy, unbelievable. I mean, there's what can we say that hasn't been said or that we haven't already said? I don't know. That being said, this movie, it's one of those movies that at the end of it, you just think to yourself, this is why we do it. This is why we have movies. This is the kind of thing, like, this is why, and even if it's dreadful, which Oppenheimer is the I don't know about the most, but maybe the most just
certainly looming the whole movie.
Oh yeah. Ominous, terrifying, disgusting in a lot of ways. Not like in a ew disgusting way, but in like a just abhorrent way.
Right. It's like a hollowing out of a man, really. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
You watch someone be completely destroyed and also destroy the people around him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's devastating. It's just devastating. And here I am saying it's the number one, but it is. And that dichotomy is a little weird, but Nolan said, and I think I said this on our first episode, back in July, but Nolan said, like, test screening viewers left the cinema devastated and unable to speak. And a lot of people were like, this is just marketing. This is buzzwords. This is nothing. That was a warning is what it was to the public, because he was absolutely right. I left that movie and sat in my car. I remember this distinctly because I left Oppenheimer. I saw a late showing too. I think I saw like a 10 p.m. showing.
I saw a 10 p.m. IMAX, and I think that that was life-changing.
So like when it ends, it's like 1:30 in the morning.
Yep.
And I remember at like 1:30 in the morning, you're tired. I had work the next day. I got out to my car and I sat there and I just thought
I think I just looked out my sunroof. I think I looked up at the stars and I was like, because it's kind of that whole thing in the end where like the missiles are like going through the sky and like there's it's like sort of
it's harrowing
everything towards the future. Yeah, like
it's sickening.
And then I just
it's awful and it's amazing that they can do that. It's just amazing to like it makes you feel so awful in all of the ways. And that is what amazes me in a way. A lot of people don't view movies like this. A lot of people go to movies to have a good time for escapism.
As an escape, right? Yeah.
Right. And there are movies that I do that for, absolutely. However, when the most impressive thing about some movies to me, is how they force you to feel certain emotions. And a lot of times, it's what we've talked about. Maybe I do have a profound way to talk about Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you have been
maybe I do.
Profoundly.
Let's see. I'll try it out. I think that it's like they unlock feelings within you. And those feelings aren't always, a lot of times they're happy feelings. A lot of times they're introspective. A lot of times they could be a number of things. Sometimes they are awful. Sometimes they are just, like I said, harrowing, sickening, disgusting, abhorrent, ominous, whatever bad adjective I can come up with. Sometimes they're those things. And the fact that a film can exist that does leave me in my car at 1:30 in the morning, sitting there until after 2 a.m., really without a lot of thoughts. I know I said I sat in my car and thought, but I don't think I did. I actually sat in my car and just kind of like, ugh. Like
it makes you be
and decompress.
It's like decompress, but like it's like I'm trying to match what you're saying here. It's like there's some movies you get out of and you feel more present than you have in a long time. It's like it just hits differently, like going back out into the world. Like it sounds so dumb. It's like, oh my gosh, you get out of the auditorium and like you go outside. But yeah, I think I had a similar experience. Like it wasn't necessarily I was leaving the theater and being like, oh, Cillian Murphy was so good in that scene. Like,
right.
No, it was like just feeling the weight of like everything that just hit me. And I don't think I was thinking I was just there. Like, I was just like, damn, like I'm here.
It leaves you just thinking to yourself, like I have to go to work tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, dude. Totally. Like
it's that kind of a movie that it's like, I have to go do life now. I have to go like do my laundry. Like I gotta go do normal person things after that. I have to go back to like, just the things I do, whether I like them or not, mundane or fun. I love my job. I have to go to work after that. Like, like what? How do you go on? How do you move forward after seeing something like that? And a lot of times it's emotional in a way of like you were talking about with past lives, makes you feel a certain way about a experience in your life or a relationship you had or someone who is in your life, makes you feel that way. And you're like, oh man, like I have to go back into life after, just this emotional, touching experience, sometimes sad in touching and heartbreaking experience. But this was a different thing. This was different than that. It wasn't like a romantic heartbreak, La La Land, right? You're talking about 6 months window that I have to have, of till I watch Past Lives. I agree. La La Land is a very different kind of like, feeling. It gives you the same feeling of like, wow, how am I supposed to like, just go back to what I was doing now after seeing this? La La Land gives you that same feeling, but it's a little different. And Oppenheimer gives you that feeling of just dread. Like there's only one movie actually that I can think of that compares to Oppenheimer in that way. And it does so even more, to the point where I wanted to cry. Had I gone to the movie alone, I would have cried for 30 minutes after the credits rolled. Is Titanic. And that movie's a masterpiece. There's, what can we say about Titanic that hasn't been said? But that's the kind of a movie that it ends and you're just like, oh, this is terrible. It's so much dread. It's so, oh my God,
It's almost like it's like you have been let into something that has impacted so many people, whether Titanic, it's like, yes, the actual event, but like just the overall story and myth of Titanic that's just like lived on through history as like one of the most defining events in modern times. And then like same with the nuclear bomb in Oppenheimer. It's like that was the catalyst for so much. And that's the irony of the ending for me, is like you have Ludwig's score, which is like triumphant, and we're like supposed to be closing down into the end of a hero's journey. But the movie has led us to such an anti-climax in a way that it's devastating. And so you have this irony of this triumphant score going into the future of like, you know, we've completed our journey in this movie. And instead of that, you're feeling the complete opposite. And it's only in those opposites that I think like the movie pulls out like all the emotions that it wanted to. And I think in its final moments, it like finally does that at the right time. And you're just like, holy, how do I grapple with this knowing what happens next?
There's a lot of movies that I think end on like a specific one-liner for a reason. And they try to really get that zinger at the end, you know, something
right.
that maybe
like they let you know it's an ending, versus Oppenheimer. Right. It's like, it has the structure of an ending, obviously, like it's an ending of a movie. And it's a very Christopher Nolan ending. Like, you know, it's very contemplative, and it has this score, whether it's, you know, Zimmer, whoever, like you can see the building blocks, but at the same time, it's so, it's hard to describe.
But they do have that zinger. Like they do have that one-liner at the end that perfectly ties the entire message of the film up into a perfect little knot. Because he's asking, you know, he's like, remember that time that, you know, you said, what if we set off a chain reaction and light the air on fire that sets a chain reaction and lights the whole entire world on fire and ends the world or whatever? And he's like, yeah, I remember that. And he goes, I believe we did. Bam.
I mean, it's so good.
Whoa.
But it's like,
because it's a double entendre too, because it's like, obviously you're not physically, scientifically, chemically setting the world on fire in that way, but you have. That's exactly what you did.
Politically, militarily,
humanity,
global relations, humanity, like, yeah.
And it hits you so, because I don't know. I personally, whenever they initially, you know, in the first act, when they talk about, hey, if we build this bomb, there's a chance that we, you know, blow up the entire world, and the whole world catches on fire in a chain reaction. And
I'm like, ooh, stakes, you know, like,
yeah. It's like, right, like,
whatever.
Or like, ooh, what a crazy, like, I don't know, what a crazy scientific thing to happen. You don't think about it in the sense of the way that Nolan kind of flips it on its head at the end there and says, you know, think about this is what happened. Figuratively, this is what happened. And I don't know. I think that just goes to show the level of writing in this film, which is just spectacular, because the whole movie is 3 hours of dudes talking. That's all it is. 3 hours of conversations and one very short bomb explosion that's really cool, but pretty short-lived.
Pretty short.
Yeah, and the rest of the movie, and it's right at the midway point, and the rest of the movie is just talking. And you have to be a phenomenal writer and cast some phenomenal actors, which obviously he did.
Yeah. To
make a movie like that is as not only just as good as it is, obviously, but also makes as much money as it does. Barbenheimer had a lot to do with that, but also
a good movie is a good movie. It carries itself.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. So this podcast has gone on for way too long, but
we're making up for lost time.
A triumphant
we have not
return
spent with you. Yeah,
a triumphant return to the scene. You know, I know we were going to talk about our movies we're excited for in 2024.
We can save it.
That's next time,
We've been
baby.
Here long enough.
Here, I'll give you a hint. Dune Part 2 again. That's what I'm excited for.
Third time in IMAX. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know what?
I have seen it 3 times. I would like to see it a 4th. I will see it a 4th. I'm so Duned right now. I'm in such a Dune mode. I'm reading the book.
I got my poster right here.
I am so Dune.
Sitting on my desk.
Really am. I'm Dune Part 2. That is one of those movies. I'm living with it right now. I'm just thinking, Lisan Al-Gaib. It's just in my head all the time. All the time. Lines from that movie pop into my head all the time. Like out of
the
nowhere.
TikToks have been so good. Have you seen I saw an edit today of Timmy from Little Woman when he's first saying hi to Florence Pugh's character out the window, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Paul Buati Training," and then it cuts into the speech from the movie. And it's so good. And
fear the moment.
I'll send it to you after this.
Yeah, please.
It's peak.
That's hilarious.
Anyways,
yeah, I'm stuck on that movie. But for a later date. This has been great, Carson. It's been a blast getting back on the mics with you. Promise next time we record an episode, it will take less than this amount of time. But it's been a blast having this discussion. I actually, I don't want to drag this out too long, but any longer than we already have. But I've enjoyed it quite a lot. I think this has been actually maybe our best episode. I would go so far as to say, to be honest, having that discussion about the movies that really stick with us and mean a lot to us. This is kind of, at least in my thoughts, this is why I wanted to make this podcast, is for episodes like this. So thank you for that. And I've had a great time.
Absolutely, man. I have loved this episode, and I agree. I think if people, we're going to have to hype this episode up so much to get people to get to the meat of this episode. And I will. We're gonna have to drop a trailer. We're gonna have to Argyle trailer people on this podcast. We're gonna have to desensitize them to get them ready for the hour and 45-minute mark where we get to our profound realizations about life and movies.
Yeah, this got good. This was not
this
planned.
got good. I know. I was like, we were kind of going back and forth there. I was like, ooh,
really good.
Ooh.
And now we're still on the mics. This is the discussion that we've typically had after we record. We're like, oh yeah, I think that was good. Yeah. No, that was good. Ooh, genuinely. That being said, Carson, do you have any final thoughts? Anything that we haven't talked about, or anything about these movies or about 2023 that you want to mention before we hop off?
No, my cat is meowing at me. You guys can find us at Zollypod on most platforms, if I am not mistaken. We will be posting from those platforms very soon, and continuing to post again. And will we be hoping to release new No, we're not hoping. We are releasing episodes bi-weekly, holding ourselves accountable. We will also hopefully be starting up, our ambition to get some more guests on the show, and also to dive into some of these deeper topics. I think, and I hope you guys appreciate kind of the deep dive into not just the list and movies that we're talking about, but sort of the emotions and, our experiences behind them. I think that's really what we want to do with this podcast. And we hope to kind of create more topics around that. And yeah, it's good to be back. Preston, where can they find you?
They can find me at Preston C. Moore on all of the things, all the accounts, all the stuff. Like we said,
I think Threads is dead at this point.
Threads is dead. I'm on there though. Zollypod's on there.
Zollypod is on there.
Zollypod's still on Threads. Maybe we'll post on the Zollypod Threads account. If you're on Threads, let us know so we can keep posting on there. But yeah, this has been really good, and I'm excited. We're going to be held accountable. You mentioned guests, and I do want to say, for anyone who is still listening to this, we just touched on Dune 2. It is currently the cultural moment, the cultural pop culture zeitgeist. It is the pop culture zeitgeist right now. And if you liked Dune 2, you can listen to our episode with behind the scenes cameraman Simon First, where we had him on the show. He talked about Dune 2 back in July when we had him on the show, and just the amazing things. I could tell, I knew Dune 2 was going to be good. I've been excited for that movie for so long, but you could tell when you were talking to him, I could tell, I was like, the way he was talking about that film was like, you are not ready. And we're like, oh yeah, it's going to be good. He was like, no, you are not ready. So if you like Dune 2, he gave us some tidbits in that episode about what it was like filming with Denis Villeneuve and filming that film. So that was a really special discussion that I quite enjoyed. Back in the day, back when we started it. Now here we are, episode 7 or something, maybe 8, can't remember. But yeah, Carson, where can they find you on social media?
You guys can find me at the Film Carson on Twitter /X, whatever it's called. I feel like that's changed since we've last
I think it has
an episode.
I still call it Twitter.
I do. I will call it Twitter till the end of time.
Yeah.
And that's where and also on Letterboxd, I believe it's the same username. You can find me there, and our, egregious one-line reviews on the movie Argyle and whatever other movies we're watching. We're excited to dive into more movies in 2024 and finish our movies that we did not get to. I will watch Poor Things, and I will watch Killers of the Flower Moon, speaking it into existence. I have texted Preston this several times, but I need to tell you all as well, so I actually do it.
I will watch Past Lives, and I will watch The Boy and the Heron. Yeah.
Yes.
I was trying to think of my second one. I'm also going to watch Theater Camp with Ben Platt. Big theater kid
I do
nerd.
want to see that too. It looks great.
I've been told by multiple people, like, this movie's made for specifically you. And so
I did see the trailer. I'm like, this is Preston's movie.
That's on my list. That's actually at the top of my list right now is Theater Camp. I'm really excited to get to that. But yeah, once again, follow us on social media at Zollypod. You can find us there, and we will be back. We will be back with more episodes very soon, and I'm very excited to continue this trend. The episodes will not be this long, though, going forward. We appreciate you if you've made it to the end, and we hope you follow us, and we hope to see you next time. Once again, I've been Preston Moore, joined by my co-host Carson Terrell, and we really appreciate you listening, and we'll be back very soon. And we will see you at the movies.